bombers and other ground attack vehicles. These are the real game changers here. Without a sufficient ground attack force, a team would have a hard time achieving mission objectives and therefore make it difficult to win. In this video, my squad mate and I will be giving you helpful tips in using ground attacking vehicles. There are three main categories of bombers: heavy, medium, and light. A subcategory of these includes flying boats, which are just like regular bombers, but with the ability to take off and land in bodies of water. Other vehicles include dive bombers, attackers, and fighter bombers, which come in a variety of designations.
The bomber is categorized by the weight of the payload it can carry, which usually affects the bomber's size as well. Heavy bombers can carry a large payload and usually has a large number of defensive turrets. The large payload can cause massive damage, so it is ideal to use heavy bombers to destroy enemy bases from high altitudes. These large aircraft can also carry many smaller bombs, which makes taking out large groups of enemy ground units a choice as well.
Medium bombers are in between heavy and light bombers. Sporting a moderate payload and a fairly decent amount of defensive turrets, these aircraft are mostly suited towards destroying enemy ground units. However, medium bombers with larger payloads make good base killers as well. Some come equipped with offensive armament, though it's not recommended to dogfight with these planes. Light bombers carry smaller payloads and have very few defensive turrets, sometimes having only one, and some have offensive armament as well.
Light bombers are best suited for taking out ground units at lower altitudes, as their small payloads cause minimal damage to enemy bases. Attackers, dive bombers, and fighter bombers are usually good for the same role. Choosing the right load for the job will always make achieving your objective easier. Some units are harder to kill than others, so make sure you check what you have equipped before attacking. War Thunder provides the encyclopedia with information on this.
Armored cars in AAA can be destroyed with a gun of any caliber and/or with any explosive. Light tanks are vulnerable to cannon fire, bombs 50 or more kilograms, and rockets. For medium tanks, a cannon caliber of 30mm or more, bombs weighing 100 kilograms or more, and direct hits with rockets will suffice. And lastly, for heavy tanks, only larger bombs and multiple rocket hits can take them out. Try to remember this so you can correctly engage your enemy's ground units.
At the beginning of the match, instead of heading straight into the fray, stick around your spawn for a little bit and climb up in altitude. This will make it harder for enemy aircraft to intercept you, as well as giving you the opportunity to use any cloud cover. Bombing from a high altitude means that your bombs must travel a long distance before striking the ground. This makes it very hard to precisely hit moving targets. Instead, go after mobile targets such as enemy bases. Simply find your target, aim your sights, and wait until you're passing over. Then drop for effect. Try to fly as level as possible to ensure maximum accuracy.
Use your rudder to make any minor adjustments to correct your aim. Enemy bases require very large payloads to fully destroy. Using a combination of the virtual bomb site and free cam to peek over your plane works just as well. If you plan to bomb moving targets from high altitude, bombs with a large blast radius are recommended, as accuracy is difficult to obtain at such high altitudes. Aim a good distance in front of your targets, as the bombs have to travel while the enemy is still moving.
Bombing at low altitude means less travel time and more accuracy. Line up your targets to ensure maximum destruction. Wait for the pass and then release. When attacking small groups or single targets, be sure to check your bomb sight for the best accuracy. Not all bombers drop best at the same angle.
Speaking of angles, most bombers are most accurate in level flight. There are exceptions to this, however, that exception being the dive bomber. For dive bombing, select your target, fly towards them, and when you get close, go into a dive and extend your air brakes if your aircraft has them. Dive towards your target and line your sight up, then drop. After that, retract your air brakes, then slowly pull yourself out of the dive into a climb. Be sure to know what angles your aircraft can dive at.
Not all aircraft can dive at steep angles, as this may produce too many G-forces. The Stuka used here, however, can dive vertically, if need be. Here's another example of dive bombing. Here you can see the air brakes more clearly. Air brakes are used to allow a dive bomber to pick up speed at a slower pace, or slow down during a dive so the aircraft does not overspeed.
Shooting rockets at ground targets can be tricky, as they are inaccurate. It is best to find a group of enemies, take travel time into account, and fire multiple rockets as you pass. However, as you may remember from our previous episode, rockets are just as effective, or even more effective, at destroying enemy aircraft due to their lack of tough armor. Bombers that come equipped with rockets can use the advantage of spawning at higher altitudes to become effective bomber hunters. Just remember to calculate your shot correctly.
Attacker aircraft come equipped with cannons of various large caliber, some of which can be found on tanks. These cannons, while powerful, take some patience to use due to their inaccuracy and slow rate of fire. This leaves you with a small window of opportunity to hit your targets, as your plane must keep moving forward unlike preferred ground attack vehicles of today, helicopters. Getting as close as possible while avoiding obstacles as a little luck is key to scoring a hit with these weapons. Do not be discouraged if you miss your target. Turn around and make another pass for another chance.
Naval bombing is practically the same as ground bombing. There are different kinds of ships requiring different weapons to effectively destroy them. But there's one weapon you can use in the water that you can't on land: the torpedo. Correctly using the torpedo is harder than the bomb for 3 reasons: speed, altitude, and angle. The torpedo reticule will assist you in correcting your path to effectively use this weapon.
Firing incorrectly while dropping a torpedo may result in the torpedo detonating in contact with the water. Flying too low can cause the torpedo to sink. It is ideal to drop your torpedoes closer to your target, but no matter the distance, make sure to lead your target if it's moving, as torpedoes travel very slowly.
Another tactic you can use only on the water is called skip bombing. Using a smaller bomb around 200 to 500 kilograms with a delayed fuse of around 4 to 5 seconds, combined with flying fast and low, you can essentially fling a bomb across the surface of water like a rock on a lake.
Ground attack vehicles will generally have some sort of defensive turret installed on it that it will fire automatically via AI when an enemy gets in range. Manual control can be taken as well. Knowing the blind spots of your gunners can help you adjust your path in case of getting attacked, but this alone will not ensure your survival. Flying in formation of other friendly bombers combines the view of all your defensive turrets. This not only helps you defend yourself, but your friendlies as well. Any enemy that tries to come in too close will have a hard time trying to survive. Having fighter escort as well can be very beneficial.
Another defensive tactic is what we like to call profile slimming. When an enemy attacks you, particularly from an angle at the sides, point your closest wingtip at them. This gives them the least amount of surface area to shoot at, decreasing your chances of getting hit. This tactic, however, will only work well if the enemy is firing from a distance, since the closer the enemy is, the easier it is to shoot you. That concludes our tutorial on bombers and other ground attack vehicles. We hope this information presented will allow you to become better equipped for the battlefield. You may have noticed a certain type of aircraft has been missing from the first 2 episodes. That's right, our next tutorial will be about the pinnacle of aircraft in War Thunder. Tier 5 jet and rocket aircraft. Until next time, signing off.